Hey, this is Brian Crecente, news editor at Polygon. I'm here at Gamescom, specifically in Square Enix's booth, with Karl Stewart, who is the brand director of, I guess, just Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics, but specifically Tomb Raider right now.
So Tomb Raider, you guys are showing a demo right now that's been seen a little bit before, but you're allowing people to write about the experience of playing through this section. The last time I played Tomb Raider, it's been a little bit, it was when you introduced the game.
Yes.
And I think that moment ended, that hands-on ended when this one basically picks up. Is that right?
Yeah.
So actually I'll let you do it. Can you sort of introduce how this demo opens?
Yeah, so this demo opens, as you said, where we finished off last year's, where we found Lara kind of hung upside down, left for dead. And she had to escape from an unknown assailant and sort of figure out one of our first smart, resourceful puzzles. And this year we continue now from that cliffside vista, and we bring Lara inland a little bit. At this stage, she's all alone. She doesn't know whether or not anybody else survived, and it's really a way for us to sort of show the evolution of the character, sort of the next stages. She finds out that Roth's alive, and her focus now is to go and find Roth. And on the way, she comes across a couple of obstacles.
Right.
One of them being, the first goal is to go and hunt a deer, get some food. You need to get your stamina back up. And we also then put a sort of a wolf encounter, sort of give you the next evolution with her bow. And then we move into sort of the breaking point of the character, which is where she has her first kill, which is a very emotional moment for Lara. And then throughout that, then we start to introduce those secondary elements, such as the base camp system with survival skills and gear skills and base camp. So it's an exciting piece of content. We've had some good receptions from it so far.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that seemingly gamers are sort of awakening more to the notion that they're playing characters that they like, but those characters take a lot of lives. So Nathan Drake, for instance, for whatever reason, when Uncharted 3 came out, a lot of people suddenly, it dawned on them that they're playing this guy who seems really affable, who snaps a lot of necks.
So I think the key for us is that, this is an origin story, and it's a girl who's never done any of this before. She got on the Endurance thinking that she was just going treasure hunting, looking for relics, and we thrust her into this situation. And it's important that we don't just start the game with a girl with two guns, willing to sort of become this ultimate action adventure hero. And we take you on that journey and really show a personality. Something which we very rarely see inside of video games is how the evolution of a character develops. And the goal for us is to sort of bring you closer to not only the character, but the situations, the gravity of the situation. So killing a person is quite a big thing. I haven't done it myself. But
you should try it, I recommend it. No.
So getting to that point, you don't just sort of say, okay, after first hour she's going to kill somebody. You want to see how that character reacts to many different things. And when we give her the bow, for instance, we tell the player, you have to go and hunt a deer. And yes, she's very compassionate at the end. She's like, I'm sorry. But she knows she had to do it.
Yeah.
And then she's forced to have to use the bow and arrow to survive when the wolves attack her. So you're being pushed to that next situation. So eventually when you come to the moment where you have to kill for the first time, we've not only built the character up, but we built her motivation up. So when she kills for the first time, she realizes, one, it's a kill or be killed situation. Two, she's on this island, she knows some of her friends are alive, but one of them is being kidnapped and she now has to save them. And three, this may have been her fault, why they're all here in the first place, so she has a conscience. So we're showing the player how we get to a point where when she does have to take on the scavengers on the island later on in the game, there's motivation there. You feel like she's doing it for a reason. We haven't just said, there we go, thrust into an environment, go kill people.
Right.
You feel that at every turn, she's not exactly going to stop and talk to these guys and say, excuse me, can you give me directions to where my friends are?
I firmly believe anybody thrust in this situation in the real world would react this way. It doesn't matter if you're a female or a male.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, most people aren't used to this sort of thing. But I think that within the gaming community, there is a lack of strong female characters. And so it seems like to me that some of the issues may be clouded because people are like, well, hey, why are you portraying someone who was a strong female action figure as someone who's not and maybe helpless? Like, do you worry that people are going to miss that message that this is more about, I guess, the humanity than it is about gender?
I think to some extent we've worked very hard to bring that personality to the forefront and bring the depth in narrative. And as you said, irrespective of whether it's male or female, I think we're pushing the boundaries a little bit of what we see in video games. And I think we come with I wouldn't say baggage because it's not baggage at all, but we come with the history of Lara's been around for 16 years, so people already have a preconceived idea of who she is and what she's done. And that coupled with the fact that we've gone from a T-rated game to an M-rated game and put this wrapper of survival around it, we've started to do things that, for instance, when she kills that guy for the first time, if you had have had the old Lara in that situation, you wouldn't have felt the tension or the emotion in that. You wouldn't have had that goosebump moment thinking, oh my God, you've pushed me to the limit. The idea now that we're making her more human and react in a more human and real way, yes, it brings the challenges because people look at it and go, is that the Lara that I know of before? Tell me who she is and why are you going down this path?
Can you real quickly talk us through, I had a chance to unlock skills? Is that how you would describe what you do?
So the idea behind it is that when you start the game, you can play the game from start to finish and you can go through a natural progression, whether it be emotional, physical, and even just skill-based. But depending on your play style, we want to give the player some options to be able to go through some new experiences. And an example is when you go into that hunting space, first of all, and you kill the deer, you get some natural XP. And you can take that XP and you can sort of grow that and take it back to base camp and trade it in for a skill-based point. Or you can go into that space, kill the deer and grind a little bit. Kill some birds, kill some rabbits, and sort of expand it. And when you go back to the base camp, you can then upgrade additional parts of the characters. So instead of just saying I want to do arrow retrieval, it's now I want to be able to sort of use my survival instinct in a more heightened way, or I want to be able to find a plant that can get my health back a bit quicker. So we want to give the player an opportunity to be able to say, well, if you want, you can skill your player up a little bit more.
So it makes me think that there is, well, you talk about sort of going out and hunting to try to build your XP. How much open worldness is there to this game? Can you roam around a lot and enjoy that experience?
Yeah, one of the goals we set out at the beginning was to look at our pillars, the pillars of what Tomb Raider stood for, and obviously exploration has been one of those pillars. And when we started to look at, how we're moving everything into this sort of new world for us, the way in which we traditionally explored was ledge jumping. We went in and we just sort of explored by saying we're going from A to B. So the challenge for us was saying, okay, we want to give the player an opportunity to truly be a treasure hunter, an explorer, come into these spaces and roam around. But we're not an open world game. So instead of saying, right, well, we'll just give you the entire island because we want to have the narrative, we want you to go on that journey, we decided to create these massive hub systems. So, the first example of what a hub system is when you go into the hunting area, albeit a very small one. It shows you that there's things you can do naturally in terms of just the story, hunt the deer and make it back to the base camp, or you can go across and pick up some new ammo, find a couple of collectibles, maybe find a doorway that you think you can't get by right now, and as you move through the game, you may upgrade some gear and it'll allow you to come back into this space through our fast travel base camp system. So the idea is that we create these massive hubs and let the player come in and free roam. You know what your objective is. We tell you that very clearly through story and sort of prompt. But you can go off the beaten track and you can be an explorer. You always know where you've got to go. And it's important to us that we give the player that opportunity because you are a treasure hunter and explorer.
So last question, is this a Tomb Raider? It's obviously, and I like this, but it seems like a very serious Tomb Raider. But does that mean it's a Tomb Raider that can't, for instance, have a dinosaur in it? Like, are we going to see a T-Rex in this Tomb Raider?
So I would say no. In this Tomb Raider, there's not going to be any T-Rexes or even smoke monsters for that matter.
So what do you think that's gone forever from Tomb Raider? Do you think one day?
I just think this is the vision that we have for the franchise right now. We're trying to bring you closer to the character and closer to the personality, and sort of develop that bond. And again, as we always say, it's that cultural relevance, and we kind of feel like those emotions that we bring you through, in order to keep them feeling real, we have to keep you in some way grounded in reality. It is a video game after all, there's a lot of fiction, but we want those heightened tension moments to come to life purely because you feel like you're there with her. Turning a corner and seeing the eyes of a T-Rex looking at you would kind of break you from that straight away. So, we don't get into that high fantasy in a way that we may have done in past Tomb Raider titles.
All right, well, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you very much, Brian.